Welcome back after the break.
Center 1409. Please ask your question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. Please.
My name is Faizan Ahmed, and I'm from BLD's College of Engineering Technology.
Yeah, go ahead.
As you said during the starting of the session, that different firms produce different, as you gave the example of steel as well as milk. They both produce different products in different units.
Yeah.
So to convert that into GDP, those products into a common unit that is called monetary. Can you please explain what is exactly monetary is?
So you have to multiply tons of steel with price per ton, and you have to multiply liters of milk with price per liter. You will convert them into their monetary value. If you own two houses.
So what exactly monetary is?
Monetary value is value expressed in monetary units, that is value expressed in rupees, not in physical units.
That the profit which the firms are making or the total production of that firm?
The value of the output, not the profit. Profit is
the total output in terms of rupees, right?
Sorry? Yeah, in rupees.
The total output in terms of rupees.
Yes. Total output in terms
of. Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Total output in terms of rupees is total output in physical units multiplied by the price per unit. You are producing n tons of steel, and the price per ton is P. Total value of the output is n into P, number of tons multiplied by the price per ton. As simple as that. If a car company is making and selling 50,000 units, and each car costs 5 lakh rupees, what is the value of the output in physical units and what is the value of output in rupees? Value of the output of that car company is 50,000 cars, 50,000 units, right? And what is its monetary value? 50,000 multiplied by 5 lakhs. Yes or no? Price per unit is 5 lakhs.
Yes, sir.
It is making or producing 50,000 units. So the value of output is 50,000 multiplied by 5 lakhs per unit. As simple as that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
It is different from profit. Profit is out of the price of 5 lakhs, the company will pay GST. You have to deduct GST, and after that you have to deduct all the expenses that it has incurred in making that car. So if you deduct all the expenses, then you will get the firm's profit. The price minus GST minus all the expenses that the company has incurred to make that car is the profit per unit. Profit per unit multiplied by the number of units is the total profit earned by the company. Out of that total profit, again it will pay corporate tax. You have to deduct corporate tax from the profit, and then you will get the after tax profit. Okay? Is that clear?
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yes, sir. It's clear.
Any more questions?
No, sir. Thank you so much.
Center number 1260.
Yeah, introduce yourself and ask the question.
Hello sir, my name is Gayatri. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
As you are saying towards economical development, what kind of the investment should a student do from now?
Economic development and the investments.
What kind of investment student do now from now?
You should study well, you should do well in your studies and then become good engineers first. That is the investment that you should make. What do you mean by investment? Are you earning any incomes?
Financial investment.
So, do you have any incomes at the moment to make those financial investments? You are earning some money?
No, sir.
Then what kind of investments can you make?
As a pre-plan for the future.
So, you worry about that later, na? So, that financial planning is going to be covered by, there is another faculty, Professor Varadraj Bapat, what are the kind of different investments that you need to make, how much money you should keep in bank deposit, how much should be invested in bonds, how much to be invested in insurance policies, and all that stuff, how much, let us say, you should, what kind of educational policies that you should buy for your children's education. That is what is called financial planning. Okay. What will be your financial needs and how to save and invest to meet those needs is a part of the financial planning module. Okay. That financial planning is going to be covered by another faculty, Professor Varadraj Bapat. So, we will just leave that. I do not want to answer those questions now, because it is not a part of this session. Is that okay?
Sir, I have another question.
Okay.
Why there is only 30 companies in Sensex stock market and there is only 50 company in Nifty? There should be change in that numbers, 30 companies and 50 companies.
What is your problem if there is only 30 in Sensex and 50 in NSE, 50 index? Do you have a problem with that? BSE also has 100 company index, BSE also has a 200 company index, BSE also has a 500 company index.
But there is only mention
Sensex.
30 companies at the main, there is only tolerant that only 30 companies for Sensex.
That is only one of the indices.
Yes,
so,
indices.
So, that 30 stock index, again this is a part of the next lecture, which is the financial system. Financial system is financial institutions, instruments and markets. As a part of that, one lady from JP Morgan is going to answer, but I will just answer this briefly to you. Stock indices can be constructed with 30 stocks, they can be constructed with 40 stocks, 50 stocks and so on and so forth. Okay. So, these 30 stocks were selected by Bombay Stock Exchange based on certain considerations. Those 30 stocks should represent different sectors of the economy and all that stuff. Why only 30? The 30 stocks accounted for what is called 80% of the total market capitalization of all the stocks listed on Bombay Stock Exchange. And currently also the 30 stocks account for 70% of the total market capitalization of all the stocks that are listed on the exchange. Again, I need to tell you what market capitalization. Market capitalization is number of shares of each of those companies that are listed multiplied by the price of those shares. Okay. If Reliance share price, supposing, is 1000 rupees, right, if it has 100 million shares outstanding, or let us say 10 million shares outstanding, its market capitalization is 10 million shares, total shares that are issued by the company, multiplied by 1000. That is what is called the market capitalization. So, if let us say there are 8000 or 10,000 companies that are listed on Bombay Stock Exchange, for each of those companies you do this, number of shares of each of those companies multiplied its current market price will give you the market capitalization of stock 1. Do it for stock 2 and so on and so forth, and add that up, that is the total market capitalization. You do that for these 30 stocks of the Sensex, stock 1, 2, 3, 4, number of shares multiplied by current market price, add it up, market capitalization of these 30 stocks divided by the total market capitalization of all the stocks that are listed on the Bombay Stock Exchange is still 70%. If these 30 stocks are accounting for 70% of the total market capitalization of all the stocks that are listed on the exchange, then this 30 share index is a good indicator of the general market wide movements. Is that okay? There is no need for you to include more and more stocks if a 30 stock index is giving you an indication of the general market wide movements. If this index moves up, that is an indication that the stock market in general is moving up. If this index is going down, then that is an indication that the stock market in general is declining. So, it is basically an index or indicator of the general stock market movements. Okay. I will just stop at that, because again, you know, I should not answer these questions because these are going to be covered in the next session, right. It will be unfair to the other instructor.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah.
Raisoni College.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, go ahead. Introduce yourself and ask the question.
I want to ask that what is the difference between the mutual funds and share market investment?
Okay. Why do you want to know that?
Because if we want to invest in any share market or any company, then on what basis we should select a company to invest in that, sir?
So, investing in individual shares versus investing in mutual funds. Again, this is part of the next session on financial system, that is instruments, institutions and markets. So, if you are investing in an individual share, you have to have the skill of finding out and doing the research on that particular company to know whether it is a good stock to invest or not, and also the timing, when to buy and when to sell. You need to have the skill of timing your investment also. Okay. So, you may not have that skill of figuring out which are the good stocks and when to buy and when to sell. On the other hand, if you invest in a mutual funds collect small savings from a large number of investors. They make it a large pool, and that large pool collected from a large number of investors is invested in what is called a portfolio of securities, right. So, they hire professional fund managers who have the training and the skill to identify or select those stocks that are expected to do well, and they also have the skill of timing the investment, that is when to buy and when to sell, and they will also do some research on which are the industries that are expected to do well and increase investments in those sector, which are the industries that are not expected to do well in the near future, and then get out of investments in those industries and so on and so forth. So, they will basically invest in what is called a diversified portfolio of securities. One is, if you invest in a share, you are subjected to, your investment is subject to the risk of fortunes of that particular single company, whereas if you are investing in a mutual fund, you are actually investing in a diversified portfolio, in which case if some industries or some companies do not do well, then the loss suffered on investments in such companies is made up or more than made up by the profit earned on other companies which are stocks which are included in the portfolio. So, there are two advantages of investing in a mutual fund. One, the mutual fund collects small savings from a large number of investors and makes it a large pool, and then invests in a diversified portfolio of securities. So, if you invest in a mutual fund, you will get the benefit of diversification, benefits of diversification. And second, you will get the services of professional fund managers who are trained in identifying or selecting the stocks that are expected to do well, and also time the investment, that is when to buy and when to sell. You and I may not necessarily have those skills, and even if you and I have the skills, we may not have the time to continuously monitor our portfolios and continuously buy and sell. Their job is only that. So, it is always better to entrust the job of investing to a professional fund manager. Okay.
My question is, how does wealth matter in acquisition of literacy, financial literacy?
How does? Sorry?
Wealth matters in acquisition.
No, no. How does, after that it's not clear. How does?
Wealth.
Huh? Speak aloud, yeah, that's okay.
Please repeat your question once again.
Wealth. How does wealth acquire in acquisition of financial literacy?
How does wealth acquisition affect financial literacy, or the other way around? How does financial literacy help acquisition of wealth?
So,
financial literacy will help you, hopefully increase your wealth. Financial literacy will help you make better investment decisions, right? And financial literacy will also help you in investment of your savings in different investment products, ranging from gold or silver or real estate, bank deposits, bonds issued by corporates, shares, mutual funds, insurance products, and so on and so forth. Okay. So, if it basically depends on the needs. If a pensioner, if a person who is retired, who is likely to retire in the near future, wants to have regular monthly income, then he should invest in a pension product that provides regular monthly income. But if you are a young guy who has just started off career, you don't invest in a pension product, because you have many years before you retire and you don't have the need of regular monthly income, in which case you would actually want your money to grow at a much higher rate. So, you are willing to wait for a longer period, in which case your money will be invested in what is called a growth fund. That is, if you put your money in a mutual fund, growth fund, that money would be invested, a large proportion of that money would be invested in equity shares that will give higher returns, and hence your money will grow at a much higher rate. On the other hand, if you do not want to assume a higher risk, then you can invest your money in what is called a bond fund, that is a mutual fund which invests a large proportion, let us say 80%, in only bonds, which are much less risky compared to shares, but your money will grow at a much lower rate. So, if you are willing to assume a higher risk, then you can earn higher return. If you are not willing to assume a higher risk, then you will have to be satisfied with a lower return. So, financial literacy will help you understand all these things and then hopefully help you make better investment decisions. Is that okay?
So is it possible that the IRA is a good investment?
Huh?
Individual retirement.
IRA.
Individual retirement account is a good investment, is it?
Your audio is not clear. Yeah. Speak aloud.
Is it individual retirement account is a good investment?
What is individual retirement account? I don't know. What is individual retirement account? There are government pension schemes and there are private pension schemes. Now, pension funds are all regulated by Pension Fund Regulatory Authority of India, and there are some investment norms specified for those pension funds. They have to invest corpus, I think about 70% of the corpus in government bonds. The remaining can be invested in shares and other instruments and so on and so forth. Okay. So, whereas government pension is different, essentially there is no fund. Government basically gives pension to all its retired employees. Private pension funds are different. There is a defined contribution every month, and then there is also a matching contribution from the employer, and the money thus collected will be invested in a portfolio of, as I said, government bonds and other securities. So, the norms how much to invest in what kind of instruments, etc., will be decided by the pension fund. The broad norms or regulations will be defined by the Pension Fund Regulatory Authority of India. Okay. Yeah. If you are not satisfied, you ask this question in the next session. This is again a part of the next session on financial institutions, instruments, and markets. Yeah.
So any more questions?
Yes, sir. No, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
SRM University.
SRM Chennai. Okay. Yeah. Please introduce yourself and ask the question.
Not audible. Please check your
audio.
microphone.
Check the audio. There is a problem with your audio. Can you fix it, or shall we come back to you later? Yeah.
Please check your audio
Please
settings.
check the audio settings.
We will get back to you.
Good evening, sir. My name is Abhishek Soni.
Yeah.
My question is, which type of factor?
What happened? Yeah, which institute are you from?
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and ask the question. Ask the question. Fast.
Please go ahead. Hello. We can able to hear you.
Delay. Okay. Okay. Yeah, but there is no delay from that side. No? Yeah. Go ahead and ask the question. Hey, initially the mic was on. I don't know what is done.
AKS University. Can you able to hear us? Center number 1281. Swearies College of Engineering, Pandarpur. Please raise your question.
Yeah, please introduce yourself and ask the question. There is a problem here also. At SRM University, I thought the infrastructure should have been much better, right, compared to.
DI Patil.
Yeah, please introduce yourself and ask the question.
We are not getting your audio.
There is a problem with your audio.
Please check your audio
Check
settings.
the audio settings.
And raise the hands again. Pillai's Institute. Do you have any questions? Sir,
Audio.
We are not getting your audio. Please check your audio settings.
It's happening at many places. What's wrong? No, I think
We are not getting your audio.
This is going on. There is a problem with your audio settings. Please check the audio settings. We are not able to hear what you are saying.
Center 1409.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I am Vaijan Kulkarni from BLD College of Engineering. My question is, sir, what will be the influence of FDI on India's economy?
FDI will help in improving the GDP. FDI will help in technology transfer if they bring new technologies. And
sir, will they not become cost leaders, sir?
Sorry?
Will they not become cost leaders, sir?
Who?
The investing company which is going to invest. For example, if Walmart is going to invest in our country, will it not become a cost leader, sir, for our country?
What do you mean by cost leader?
So everything will be dependent on their profit and their own way of giving the price or selling the goods.
Why? What makes you think so? Why do you think so?
So for example, if a farmer is going to sell, yes sir, I'll give an example. If a farmer is going to sell his if a farmer is going to sell his vegetable for 10 rupees, in the same way, if a company buys the same vegetable from the same farmer at 10 rupees, and because of its own cost leadership, it will sell at a certain other rate, and at a certain profit level, the company will give a certain margin of that profit to the farmer. Now, for example, if 10 rupees is the cost of the vegetable, and for margin of 70%, that is 7 rupees, the farmer will be profited, or the farmer will be given with the price. So am I making sense?
No, you're not. I'll tell you why you're not. Okay. I'll take the same example.
Extremely sorry, sir.
No, that's okay. I'll just take that example and explain to you how it's a win-win for both the consumer and the farmer. You're taking the example of vegetable. Okay. So Walmart will invest in cold storage, they will invest in logistics and supply chain, okay, ensure that there are less wastages. They will remove the middlemen. Middlemen actually are making more money than the farmers. If they remove those middlemen, the farmer will get a better price and the consumer will also get that at a lower price. So it's a win-win for both the farmer and the consumer. But the worry for the political class and others is that there are these roadside retailers. Those roadside retailers may go out of business. Okay. But that is bound to happen. Whenever there is change, there is going to be some disruption. These these retailers, local retailers, will have to acquire new skills, or they have to offer something more than what a Walmart and other discount stores offer. They will continue to have their relevance. We have the D-Marts in Mumbai. Okay. I go to D-Mart, there are many on IIT Bombay campus who will still buy from the retailers because the retailer will deliver at the doorstep. They are willing to pay a higher price, but those retailers will sell less because more people will go to those discount stores. The farmers will also be better off because in Mumbai, the kind of rice that we buy is sold at 60 rupees, whereas a farmer of that column rice in Punjab may get 15 rupees or 20 rupees, whatever it is. The middleman is making that much. So if those companies come in and remove the middlemen, then the farmer will get a higher price and the consumers, will get a lower price. Then you may ask, where do these companies make money, right? Farmers get more, consumers getting it for less. Where would these DMarts and Walmarts make money? They make money through volumes. These discount stores will work with less margins because they offer discounts. They will work with volumes. They sell a lot more. A retailer will work with margins. He will sell less, he will sell it at a higher margin, so he will make money through the margins. These discount stores will work with lower margins, work with large volumes, and they make the money through the volumes. You understand? And those guys will also invest in logistics and supply chain, the cold storage facilities, refrigerated trucks, etc., etc. So ensure that there is less wastage. Does that make sense? Does it make sense? It's cut off over. Yeah, go ahead.
AKS University.
Could you fix your audio problem? We are coming back to them, right? Can you hear us? Could you fix your audio problems? No.
Sender number 1281.
Please check your audio settings.
We are not getting your audio.
Please check the audio settings. Yeah, check the mic and check the audio settings. Check that SRM again. Those guys could SRM. Hello?
SRM University.
Yeah, hello?
No, we are not getting your audio.
Check the audio settings.
Sarvajanic College of Engineering.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Sir, I have two questions. First one is I want to know more about the expansionary monetary policy and the contractionary monetary policy. And the second part of my question is, what is the direct relation between fiscal policy and monetary policy on the basis of their objectives?
The second one I'll answer it. The first one is directly related to question included in the quiz. Is that why you want to know?
Sir, I was not very clear on it. I saw the lectures and I could not really get clarity on that part. That's why I'm asking.
The second part.
On the basis of the CRRs and the repo rates.
Okay, the second one I'll answer it first. Fiscal policy and monetary policy, are they related? Is that what you are asking?
Yes, sir. And if yes, then how on the basis of their objectives are they related?
Are they related meaning, see, fiscal policy is formulated and implemented by Government of India, monetary policy is formulated and implemented by Reserve Bank of India. These are two independent entities, but will RBI's action in terms of modifying the monetary policy and implementing have consequences for fiscal policy? The answer is no, but will the monetary policy have see, if the Reserve Bank changes something, will it lead to change in taxes, will it lead to change in government expenditure? The answer is no. Government will independently decide the taxes, it will independently decide its expenditure, right, and Reserve Bank also decides independently on those reserve requirements, repo rates, etc. So, these are two independent. Are they related? Are they related? The answer is no, but changes in monetary policy will have consequences for the interest rate. An expansionary monetary policy will lead to decrease in interest rate. If interest rate decreases, investment spending by firms will increase. When investment spending increases, the total aggregate demand for goods and services in the economy increases, and hence the output of goods and services increases. So, in that sense, monetary policy has consequences for the GDP growth rate through the route of interest rate. Interest rate determines the investment spending by firms. If the RBI's monetary policy leads to decrease in interest rate will lead to increase in investment spending by firms, other things remain the same, and increase in investment spending by firms will in turn lead to increase in GDP or GDP growth rate, right. Alternately, if the Reserve Bank of India implements a policy which leads to increase in interest rates will lead to decrease in investment spending by firms, which in turn would lead to decrease in GDP or GDP growth rate, right. In that sense, the monetary policy actions of Reserve Bank of India will have consequence for the real sector or the output of goods and services. But are the monetary and fiscal policy related directly? The answer is no. Is that clear?
Okay, sir. Thank you. So, in the end, it's like indirectly they are to an extent antagonistic to each other.
I am not saying that. Did I say
it depends.
That? No, I am saying the output. Fiscal policy, if you have seen the video and if you have seen the slides are uploaded? No, the slides are not uploaded. Slides are already uploaded. See, fiscal policy is the policy of changing the tax rates, personal income tax rate and corporate tax rate. It is a policy related to changing government's purchases of goods and services, or broadly we can say government spending. Government also makes transfers, it gives subsidies, it gives scholarships to students and so on and so forth, right. So, those are all called transfers. Okay. So, what is the amount that is going to spend on transfers, what is the amount that is going to spend on its purchase of goods and services, that its spending on purchase of goods and services and the spending on transfers is what is called the government expenditure, right. How much the government spends and what is how it changes its tax rates, etc., has nothing to do with what the Reserve Bank does. Similarly, what the Reserve Bank does has nothing to do with what the Government of India does in terms of changing it, but both their objective is broadly to ensure that the output or GDP grows at a higher rate. Now, government will try and offer incentives to companies so that they will expand output, right. Government will maybe try and lower the taxes or increase its spending and so on and so forth. All that the government will do. Similarly, Reserve Bank also has a role. Reserve Bank, let us say, ensures that interest rates are lowered, then it will act as an incentive for firms to invest more. But again, if government Reserve Bank of India expands money in circulation, that will have consequences for inflation, prices may go up. Okay. So, there are conflicting objectives to be achieved. The Reserve Bank's objective is price stability or ensuring lower rate of inflation, which means it actually has to bring down the money in circulation. But if the Reserve Bank wants interest rates to go down, that it will have to ensure that the money in circulation actually increases in the system for interest rates to go down, right. So, ensuring a lower inflation and lower interest rate are conflicting objectives. Which takes precedence will depend on conditions in the economy at that point in time. Okay. If the rate of inflation is low, then the Reserve Bank can afford to increase the money in circulation in an effort to bring down the interest rates. But the inflation rate is high, then it cannot afford to increase the money in circulation further to bring down the interest rate, because increasing money in circulation will basically adversely affect the objective of inflation control or price stability if the inflation rate is already high, right. What is expansionary? First question is, what is expansionary monetary policy and what is expansionary?
Yeah, sir. Contractionary and expansionary monetary policy. I was not quite clear on in terms of the repo rate, CRR, how it exactly affects these two.
So, CRR is the cash reserve ratio. Okay. So, it is the percentage of the bank deposits or what is called net demand and time liabilities or NDTL. For the purpose of this interaction, let us say some percentage of the bank deposits that need to be held with the Reserve Bank of India as liquid cash. So, supposing if the CRR is 4%, if you or I deposit 100 rupees with the bank as deposit, then 4 rupees will have to be held as liquid cash with the Reserve Bank of India. That means the bank cannot lend on a deposit base of 100. The bank now can lend on a deposit base of only 96, because 4 rupees is appropriated by the Reserve Bank of India. Is that clear? So, the bank's ability to lend on a deposit base of 100 is higher than the bank's ability to lend on a deposit base of 96, because Reserve Bank has appropriated 4 rupees. Okay. But supposing the Reserve Bank reduces the CRR from 4% to 3%, what will happen? Instead of appropriating 4 rupees out of 100 rupees deposit, the Reserve Bank is now appropriating only 3 rupees. So, the deposit base against which the bank can lend has gone up from 96 to 97. Based on a higher deposit base, the bank's ability to create further deposits has gone up. Okay. So, money in circulation is defined as currency plus what are called demand deposits and time deposits. Okay. Let me not get into all those details, because you may not understand them fully. So, let us call it as currency notes plus deposits. Currency notes are supplied by Reserve Bank of India. Similarly, Reserve Bank also supplies those reserves that I mentioned. Okay. It can keep on making changes in those reserves. Currency notes are supplied by Reserve Bank of India. Deposits are supplied by banks. When a bank gives a loan to a company, it simply creates an account and credits that loan amount to that account. That means it has created a new deposit, right. So, the bank's ability to create new deposits for the deposits will be dependent on its deposit base. So, higher the CRR, higher the amount as a percentage of the bank deposits which is appropriated by the Reserve Bank of India, and lower the deposit base that the banks will have to work with. And lower the CRR, lower the amount as a percentage of the deposits which is appropriated by the Reserve Bank of India, and higher the deposit base against which the banks can create further deposits. Is that clear? So, reduction in CRR would means the bank deposits deposit base will go up, and hence banks' ability to create further deposits will go up, and hence it is an expansionary monetary policy. On the other hand, if the Reserve Bank increases the CRR, it is actually taking out more money out of as a percentage of the total deposits, and hence the deposit base that the banks have to work with to create further deposits will go down, and hence banks' ability to create further deposits will decrease, and hence the money in circulation in the economy will decrease. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I recently read somewhere that gold acts as an hedge fund against inflation. So can you please explain that line? It's a little bit not regarding the topic, I guess.
So an asset is said to provide what is called a hedge against inflation if its price goes up at the same rate or at a rate which is more than the going rate of inflation. Supposing you invest in gold today, okay, and 1 year from now, supposing during the next 1 year the rate of inflation is 5%, I am just giving an example, rate of inflation is 5%. If gold price goes up by at least 5% or more, then you are earning a return in excess of the inflation. So in that case, gold is said to provide a hedge against inflation. On the other hand, if you put your money in a bank deposit which is giving, let us say, 3%, right, rate of inflation is 5%, you are earning your money or nominal return of 3%, you are actually losing in real terms to the extent of 2%. Any asset which gives a return which is less than the going rate of inflation is said not to provide a hedge against inflation, and any investment or asset which provides a return which is at least as much as the rate of inflation or more is said to provide a hedge against inflation. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Thank you so much.
Hello, Center 1281. We are not getting your audio. Please check your audio settings.
Hello.
Yeah, now we are getting. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Jayesh Devkole. I'm from Seri College of Pandharpur. My question is what if net neutrality comes in India, is effects on any company to do business?
Audio again.
We lost your audio again.
If a net neutrality comes in India, is effects on any company to do business?
The answer is no.
How, sir?
Why should lack of net neutral? What is net neutrality?
Net neutrality means is the principle that internet service provider who's treated every user treated equally.
So, and all sites they also have to provide the same access to all the sites.
Yes.
So, if your internet service provider provides access to Canara Bank site, but does not provide access to SBI site, then that will affect the business of SBI online banking, right? But if your net provider provides equally good access to both the Canara Bank site as also SBI online banking service, then would it affect the online banking business of the two banks or more banks? Would it affect the business?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Walchand Institute of Technology.
Yeah, go ahead. Again audio.
We are not getting your audio.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Akshay Shah. I am from Walchand Institute of Technology. Basically, while watching the videos, I came across a point that industrial market structure determines the firm behavior and firm performance.
Yeah.
While furthermore, there are some regulated industry. I basically want to know about what is a regulated industry, like airlines and all. Airlines and televisions are regulated industry, and while steel is not a regulated industry. So I want to know about what is a regulated industry and what makes some industries regulated and some not regulated.
Why are some industries regulated and why are some industries not regulated? Banks and other financial institutions are highly regulated, whereas many companies are not regulated. Why is that so? It is simply because banks are doing business with other people's money. So, they can't be permitted to do everything and anything. Airline business is regulated. Why do you need to have a regulator for airline industry? The reason is they need to have a license. Not everyone and anyone can operate an airline industry. So, essentially there are issues of safety, there are issues of sophisticated pilot training, etc., some norms to be met. So, you need to have a regulator who will ensure that all those safety norms are met, and of course, the airlines need to have access to the airport infrastructure, right, and the airport infrastructure is also limited. I mean, you can't have large number of airlines, but there are no, let's say, slots at a given airport. So, all these things put together would mean you need to have a regulator for the airline industry. Given the safety and security considerations. What is the other industry that you mentioned?
Television.
Television broadcasting. Why do you need to have regulation of broadcasting industry? You need to have norms for broadcasting or telecasting different programs at different times. Let us say the adult content cannot be broadcast or telecast during the daytime because it will have consequences, right. And similarly, the news content also needed to be regulated because you do not want people to be misinformed about events and so on and so forth, because reporting on potentially troublesome events can lead to adverse consequences in the society. So, obviously, the telecasting and broadcasting industry cannot have the kind of freedom that a company that makes and sells soaps can have, right. So, given these considerations, some industries are regulated, whereas others are not regulated.
Any more questions?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Myself, Ms. Gurpreet Kaur from WIT. Yeah. So actually, while I gone from the contents given in your slides, so I not got one point in monetary policy that when Reserve Bank of India sells government security, it actually sucking liquidity from the system, and when it buys government security, it injecting the liquidity into system. So actually, what kind of government of securities are provided by the Reserve Bank of India or government? How the buying and selling is done? Actually, I am not aware of this. Can you please explain me?
So, government securities would mean government bonds. Government of India will issue government bonds, which will have what is called a face value and a coupon. Coupon meaning at regular intervals, every 6 months or every year, it will pay that amount, and the face value, let us say if it is a 100 rupee face value or 1000 rupee face value bond, you give 100 rupees or 1000 rupees today, and if it is a 5-year bond, supposing it is a 5-year and 8 rupees coupon bond. So, you give 100 rupees today, every year you will get 8 rupees from the government of India as long as you hold that bond, and at the end of 5 years you will get your 100 rupees back. That means, by investing in a government bond whose face value 100 rupees, you are actually lending 100 rupees to government of India in return for a coupon payment of 8 rupees, right. So, the government of India is borrowing money from you and me at the rate of 8%, right. So, why should government of India borrow? If government of India's total expenditure is more than its total revenues, then it has to finance the gap between total expenditure and total revenues. So, it will borrow money from you and me, corporates, banks and others when they invest in government bonds. If the Reserve Bank buys those government bonds, what it essentially does is it will write a check on itself. You know, it will, if it buys let us say 10,000 crores worth of government bonds, the Reserve Bank of India writes a check on itself for 10,000 crores and then gives it to Government of India. If the Government of India presents it back to Reserve Bank of India, there is something called the Reserve Bank of India balance sheet. Okay. On the asset side of the Reserve Bank's balance sheet, its holding or its investments in Government of India bonds has gone up by 10,000 crores. But on the other hand, when the Government of India presents that check for 10,000 crores to Reserve Bank itself, Government of India also has an account with Reserve Bank of India. So, Reserve Bank of India owes the money that is deposited in Government of India's account with RBI. That is a liability. On the liability side of the RBI's balance sheet, you have bank deposits, Government of India's cash balances, RBI and so on and so forth. So, when Government of India presents that check of 10,000 crores, the Reserve Bank's liability, it will basically credit Government of India's account with itself by 10,000 crores. So, can I just use this? Yeah. Meanwhile, I can just write it. What happened to this pen? Yeah. So, if you can see here, if Reserve Bank buys 10,000 crores worth of Government of India bonds, on the asset side there is an increase to the extent of 10,000 crores. As I said, in return for buying those bonds, the Reserve Bank of India writes a check on itself and gives it to Government of India. Government of India deposits that check again to Reserve Bank. When the Reserve Bank receives that check, it will credit Government of India's account with itself by 10,000 crores. So, which basically means that the size of Reserve Bank of India's balance sheet has gone up by 10,000 crores. This is what is called change in high power money. So, change in money in circulation is equal to money multiplier multiplied by change in high powered money. So, this high power money has gone up by 10,000 crores. The final increase in money in circulation will be more than 10,000 crores because the money multiplier is more than 1. So, any transaction which will change the size of the RBI's balance sheet will have consequences for the high power money, and which in turn will have consequences for the money in circulation in the economy. Okay.
But how it actually affect the liquidity? Liquidity means, sir, actually I read from the net that liquidity means the assets which we can immediately convert into the cash. So actually how it affects the liquidity, I not got that point. And sir, securities are there,
So
and
liquidity,
what I got from your
liquidity in economics and liquidity in finance have different meanings. Liquidity in economics would mean money in circulation in the economy. Liquidity in finance would mean the ease with which you can convert a security into cash. Okay. So, a security is said to be highly liquid if there are a large number of buyers and sellers in that security. So that you, even if you want to sell 10,000 shares or 1 lakh shares or 1 million shares, you should be able to sell those shares at the click of a mouse. But if the security that you have invested in is not liquid, if you put a sale trade or a buy trade for 1 million shares, it will not be executed because there are no buyers or sellers, there is no corresponding party. If you are selling, there is no other investor who is willing to sell those many number of securities, and if you are selling, there is no other party who is willing to buy those many securities, right. So, liquidity in finance has a different meaning. A security or investment is said to be highly liquid if you can easily and costlessly convert that into cash, then that security is called liquid. In economics, liquidity mean money in circulation. Like money does not necessarily mean currency notes. Money would mean, currency notes, deposits, the electronic money, credit cards, debit cards, and so on and so forth. Anything that is accepted in return for purchase of goods and services is what is called money in economics. Okay. Broadly, money basically means currency plus deposits.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So any more question? GH Raisoni College.
This also came earlier, right? Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
My question is about demonetization. The RBI has said, according to
We are not getting your audio clearly.
I could hear the demonetization term, but yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
My question is that RBI state that according to its calculation that 1,65,327 crore will be deposit during that demonetization held.
Okay.
But the total amount is deposited is 1,24,000 crore rupees only, where the 5.5 crore has gone. Is it affecting the Indian economy by financially?
That money has not come back to the banking system.
Yes, sir. That's my question.
That has not come back to the banking system. It is out of circulation.
Yeah, but after demonetization,
that
2000 notes are printed. 15.7 lakh crore 2000 notes are printed. But RBI recently stated that 13.3 crore lakh rupees are only available in the market, where the 2.5 crores rupees has gone.
2.5
new currency, sir. Crore rupees were gone. Sir, 15.7 lakh crore rupees of 2000 notes has been printed by RBI. But SBI's statement is that 13.3 crore rupees only available in the Indian market. Then where the 2.5 crore has been gone?
It has gone out of circulation. It has gone out of circulation. It's lying idle
then,
somewhere.
Isn't the economy and financial of India is going decreasing by holding this?
Why?
Sir, Indian economy पे भी effect.
Why would it affect the economy? The currency notes have gone.
Is it affecting
What?
us?
No.
You
have to. Has demonetization affected the economy? The answer is yes. What are you asking?
Sir, that's all.
Huh?
That's only my problem. That where the 2.5 crore has been gone after the demonetization also.
After the demonetization, if people have not converted the old currency notes into new currency notes, that money has gone out of circulation. Simply because those guys don't want to disclose that income, for possibly because the source of that money is suspect. They could be, they may attract investigations, both the tax related investigation, and if the source of that money is hawala and other drug trafficking, etc., they may actually even attract criminal investigations. I am just speculating. Those people who have that money which has gone out of circulation don't want to disclose that money and convert that into new currency notes or convert that currency into bank deposits. If they deposit that money with banks, then they will have to answer questions about the source of that money, and perhaps they don't want to disclose the source and attract the tax and other investigation. So that money has gone out of circulation, as simple as that.
But my question is that after demonetization, the 2000 notes which are printed, that are missing us at 2.5 crore rupees.
Yeah.
New currency notes, sir. 2.5 crore.
The old currency notes which are stored in the mattresses, etc., are converted into new 2000 rupee currency notes, and they are stored in those mattresses now. Perhaps.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
VNIT?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Jamila Jena. My question is, how the open market purchase affects interest rate?
I have just explained about how RBI's purchase of government bonds affects the high powered money and hence the money in circulation. Have you seen that? Just now. This
Yes,
one.
sir, I have seen, but no.
If RBI buys bonds through open market purchase, then it is taking bonds, I mean in layman's terms, it is taking bonds and giving money. It is injecting money into the economy, right? If you want a sophisticated explanation, it is buying bonds worth 10,000 crores. On the asset side, its investment or its holdings of government bonds is going about 10,000 crores, and it is paying for the purchase of those bonds by writing a check on itself. So all those banks and others will buy those bonds. So instead of Government of India, now if the banks have sold those bonds, the RBI has written a check on itself and given it to those banks. Those banks again present a check to RBI. Banks also hold deposits with RBI. So the bank deposits held at RBI are also liabilities. So when those banks present the check that is given to them, the Reserve Bank will credit their account with itself by 10,000 crores. So on the liability side also there is an increase of 10,000 crores, on the asset side there is an increase of 10,000 crores. So the size of the RBI's balance sheet will go up by 10,000 crores, and hence there is a change in hyper money of 10,000 crores, which in turn would lead to increase in money in circulation. Increase in money in circulation will lead to decrease in interest rates, whereas on the other hand, if the RBI sells government bonds, it is giving bonds and taking money. right, in which case its holdings of bonds will decrease, the bank deposit, when banks pay for the purchase of those bonds, the bank deposits will also decrease, the hyper money will decrease, and hence the money in circulation will also decrease. Okay. So, open market purchase and sales of bonds will have consequences on the asset side as well as on the liability side of the RBI's balance sheet. If the size of the RBI's balance sheet increases, hyper money increases, and hence the money in circulation increases. If as a result of the open market sale of government bonds, if the RBI's holdings of government bonds decreases, the RBI's liabilities to banks decreases, and hence the size of the RBI's balance sheet decreases. So, as a result, the hyper money decreases. If the hyper money decreases, the total money in circulation in the economy decreases. If the money increases, the interest rates decrease. If the money decreases, the interest rates will increase. How that happens is something which is beyond the scope of this course. If money in circulation increases, the price of bonds increases. If price of bonds increases, there is something called the coupon remaining the same. If the price of bond increases, then the yield to maturity or the interest rate will decrease. On the other hand, if the money supply decreases, price of bonds will increase, coupon remaining the same. If the price of bonds increases, coupon C divided by the P, if P increases, then the interest rate or the yield will increase. So, increase in money in circulation would lead to decrease in price of bond, and hence increase in money in circulation will lead to increase in price of the bonds, and coupon C remaining the same, it will lead to decrease in interest rates. Decrease in money in circulation would lead to decrease in price of bonds, and the coupon remaining the same, it will lead to increase in yield or interest rates. Okay. I can't, let us say, explain beyond this, because you need to have knowledge of bonds, shares, etc. So, this suffices it to say, if money increases, price of bonds will increase and interest rates will decrease, because the coupon will remain. If money in circulation decreases, then the price of bonds decreases, and hence interest rates will decrease. The reason being, people will try to make changes in their portfolios of money and bonds and so on and so forth. So, if there is more money, people will try to move out of money and into bonds. So, more people would like to buy bonds. If there are more buyers of bonds than sellers, they will increase the price of bonds. If price of bond increases, interest rates will decrease. On the other hand, if the money in circulation is less, people will try to move out of bonds and into money. More people will try to sell bonds. There are more sellers of bonds in the market than buyers. If there are more sellers than buyers, then the price of bonds will decrease. If the price of bonds decreases, coupon remaining the same, interest rate will increase. That's the link between money in circulation and the interest rate. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
So, any more questions?
No thanks.
Pillai's Institute of Technology.
Audios.
We can't able to hear you, sir.
Please check the audio settings.
So, you are not audible.
I want some more water here. Thank you.
So, we can't able to hear you. Please check your audio settings. Please make sure your mic is unmuted.
We can't hear you. Please check the mic and the audio settings. No, you are not audible. We'll will come back to you, please check the audio settings.
So remote centers, any more questions, please click the hand raise button. Sona College.
There are 2 centers, no? Yeah, 2 centers.
Maulana Asad, National Institute of Technology. Do you have any questions?
That institute where they couldn't get the audio? Which institute is that? Just checking it. They could, PI.
Hello.
Somebody came.
Hello?
Hello? Yeah.
Sir?
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
I am the remote center coordinator, sir.
Yeah.
Dr. T. Revidi. Today our college is having holiday, sir.
Okay.
So that students didn't come, sir.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, no problem.
Oh, okay, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you.
KJ Somaya College. Do you have any questions?
Engineering college.
Hello, sir.
Hello. Yeah, go
So
ahead.
my name is Hitesh, and my question is like when we talk about the growth of the country, we mostly talk about GDP, and why not GNP?
So what's the difference between the two?
So like for if someone belonging to India is earning in some foreign country, then it might account for GNP. Not very sure about it, just a vague idea of it.
You're right. GNP includes what is called factor incomes earned abroad. That means if Indian software professionals are working in the US and earning incomes, that's a part of our GNP, but it's not a part of our GDP because that activity was not, that service is not delivered within the geographical boundaries of India. So essentially GDP is the value of all final goods and services that are produced within the geographical boundaries of the country, whereas GNP is the value of all final goods and services that are produced by domestically owned factors of production, meaning if an Indian goes abroad and works and earns an income, that is a part of our GNP, but it is not a part of our GDP. Similarly, if a foreigner comes and renders some services for which he or she gets paid, it is a part of our GDP because that service was rendered within the geographical boundaries, but do we own that factor, namely the labor? Because that person is a foreign citizen, that factor, namely labor, is not owned by us. So there are some services that are rendered by foreigners, but within the geographical boundaries of a country. So it is a part of our GDP, but it is not a part of our GNP because we do not own that factor of production. Similarly, if foreign companies come and set up manufacturing facilities in this country and produce goods, it is a part of our GDP, but the amount of profit that belongs to that foreign parent is not a part of our GDP because we do not own that foreign company, but that foreign company also hires domestic workers, it hires engineers and other professionals who happen to be Indians. So all those salaries and wages paid to Indian professionals and workers is a part of our GDP, though they are working for a foreign company, right. So essentially from to the GDP you add what we call the factor incomes from abroad, that is the incomes earned by Indian professionals abroad, profits earned by Indian companies abroad, and you deduct the incomes earned by foreigners in India, you deduct the profits earned by foreign companies in India. So if you add incomes of Indians and Indian companies abroad and deduct the incomes earned by foreigners in India and the profits earned by, I am just giving you some layman's explanation, so broadly. So if you add what is called net factor income from abroad to GDP, then you will get the GNP. So GNP is equal to GDP plus net factor income from abroad. So why do we only talk about GDP and not GNP? I do not think there would be much of difference unless that net factor income from abroad is a very significant percentage of the GDP, right. If it is an insignificant percentage of GDP, then growth in GDP and growth in GNP will be very close, right. And why do we only talk about GDP? Because the output, that is output of goods and services produced within the geographical boundaries, is an indicator or measure of the economic activity within the country, and that activity will help generate employment within the country, right. That is perhaps the reason why we talk about GDP more than the GNP. Does that answer your question?
Yes sir, thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah, sure, go ahead. Sorry?
No more questions sir.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
No more questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Sagar Institute of Science and Technology.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry, good evening, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I have a very basic question. That what is financial literacy and how it's going to help us in my life, in my career ahead?
Why are you attending this program?
To know about finance.
You must have thought through it, right? You must have thought that that this program would be useful, and that's why you are attending. Otherwise, you wouldn't have attended this program, right?
Yes, sir.
Why do you think? What made you come to the conclusion that it's going to be helpful?
What, sir?
What made you come to the conclusion that this program is going to be helpful to you, and that's why you are a part of this program?
Sir, in everyday life we are going through calculations, accounts in every sector. So I think it would be helpful in my life to manage how accounts managed.
So financial literacy would mean, the knowledge and awareness about different financial products and services, the knowledge and awareness about different investment products and services, and the knowledge and awareness about broadly the financial system, which includes the financial markets, instruments and institutions. Okay, that would help you plan your investments better, or it will help you improve your financial planning later on in life when you start working. But in this session we are basically trying to understand economics. So, understanding the broader economic environment will help us identify what are called need gaps and thus identify business opportunities. These days most of quite a few of the engineering students want to become entrepreneurs. They want to have their own startup companies. So, if you want to become entrepreneurs and have startup companies, you have to scan the broader business and economic environment and see where the opportunities are for you to come up with an idea for a startup, right. And after that you also need to know that having an idea itself is not enough to run your startup. You need to look for people with complementary skills. There could be guys who are good in accounting and finance. Those guys can manage the finances and keep the account books for your startup. There could be guys who are good in marketing. Those guys will go to companies to sell the product or service from your startup. There could be guys who are good at spotting talented people to work for your startup and so on and so forth. So, awareness, where to look for these kinds of resources, what are the kinds of opportunities based on the need gaps, etc., will help you make informed decisions. So, if what we are saying, the assumption here is informed decision making is better than uninformed decision making. Okay, if you are better informed, you will make better decisions, right. That is the assumption. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, any more questions?
No, thank you, sir.
Maulana Asad, National Institute of Technology.
Yeah.
My question is, what kind of securities will give more profit at the time, especially at the time of recession?
No,
in short term.
Can you repeat the question? Can you please repeat the question? It is not.
What kind of securities will give more profits or in short term recession?
I don't know. If I know, I would be investing in those securities.
Sir.
Audio is again a problem.
We are not getting your audio.
Done with all the centers, sir. No more requests. Just see. Are there any more centers that have put their hands up? Just check. Just take one last and then we can conclude. If there are any, let's not force them to. There's only one guy sitting there.
Hello. PD Association College of Engineering. Terna Engineering College. Do you have any questions?
Do you have any questions? Some guys
So any questions? Pillai's Institute?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. It's audible now.
Hello? Am I audible, sir?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are.
Sir, I have one question. Currently, cryptocurrency investment is quite a bigger attraction for everyone. Now, will it be helpful in a financial growth for India if it is made legal?
You ask this question next week as a part of that financial instruments.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone has a question? Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Maulana Asad National Institute?
Bhopal.
हाँ भोपाल मध्य
Hello.
Hello, yeah.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes. Go ahead, yeah. It's not audible now.
Okay, sir, my question is that if I purchase a bond today and the market hits a recession tomorrow, then what will the prices of the bond will be affected? In what manner?
Bond prices may not be affected. If there is a recession, meaning what is recession? What is recession? Hello? Hello? What is recession? Recession is decrease in aggregate output. Or if there is recession in industry, decrease in output is recession in that industry. So people use the term recession very loosely. If a growth rate decreases from 6.5 to 5.5, that is not recession. That is a decrease in growth rate. Output is still growing at a positive rate. Recession means negative growth in output. Okay. So that has no relation to the bond prices. Bond prices are determined by the conditions in the bond market. So unless the conditions in the bond market change, the bond prices need not necessarily change. Similarly, the bond prices can also vary due to conditions in the stock market or the share market. So if people make switch between bond markets and the stock market or stock market to bond market, depending on which one of these two is attractive, then the bond prices may go up and down. Okay. And similarly, bond prices will also be influenced by changes in money in circulation in the economy. If the money in circulation in the economy increases, the bond prices will go up. If the money in circulation in the economy decreases, the bond prices will decrease. Okay. Yeah. So with this, we will conclude this session on understanding microeconomics, macroeconomics, and fiscal and monetary policy. We have had a very good session, and students from quite a few remote centers have asked interesting questions, and I hope I could answer most of those questions. If you still have further questions, you may post them on the discussion forum, and they will be answered in reasonable time. Okay. So I thank you very much. We will conclude the session with this. Thank you.